this is somebody that I've actually already made 2 videos about, and I never thought I'd be making a 3rd video about them. But here we are. I don't know if you've ever seen these YouTube videos, okay? This is the first one. This art contest entry sparks tracing debate. It was about this piece. And then this is the second video. Artist made a fake identity to scam for free art. So what is this all about? Well, I'll give you a TLDR before I get into this. There was a creator by the name of Sekushi Ien, aka Trickstar. They also go by a whole bunch of different aliases, and we'll get into that. This was the design they were using at the time. So this creator, Trix, I'll call them that for now, popped up out of nowhere and was like, yep, I'm hosting an art contest for my design and the prize pool is gonna be this. Over time, they slowly added more and more money to the prize pool for this art competition. And the prize pool raised to over it was around $1,500. At the same time, they started hosting a second art contest for a friend, and I put this in quotes loosely, called I Bum Bum or Vexed. Again, friend in quote, I'll refer to them as Vexed, okay? And then when it was time to pay the prizes for the 2 winners that entered the art contest, Vex, the friend, in quotes, that, had the $700 art contest hosted for them by Trix, was then speaking on Trix's behalf, being like, yeah, Trix entrusted me with their Twitter page to make a post. Their family is grieving right now. How dare you ask me for the money for the prizes? People were suspicious, right? And a whole bunch of creators got together and were like, yo, this is very suspicious. And we think that Trix and Vexed are the same person. And they put together an entire doc to go over this, which is the second video that I covered here. This video. And if you're watching on YouTube, I will have everybody linked down below alongside these 2 videos and the documents so that you can go look at it yourself. It is an absolute mess. Also, the worst part on top of it is the fact that the second place winner is actually an artist who is ill, and Trix knew about it. And they were relying on the earnings from the competition to pay for their medicine that they never received due to the fact that Trix died. I say this in quotes. And while there were people speculating as to whether the death was, true or not, or if it was faked, most people came to the conclusion that it was faked, but we don't get an overall confirmation until a couple days ago. So this all really kickstarts, from my knowledge, with Mimi, where Mimi, figured out, hey, wait a sec, this Trix person is actually back. So they were posting on Twitter being like, beware, Trix is back. And that pressured Renzo to make this post. Anyways, we'll read what they say and then we'll look at the doc because it is wild. I want to add, on a complete side note, don't send threats to anybody. Their behavior is atrocious. This is true. Sending threats to people is bad. It doesn't make you better than them. It doesn't prove anything. Please don't do that. It literally just makes you stoop lower than their level. There's this account on Twitter by the name of Renzoxian. I can't pronounce the name right. And they write, taking accountability. I'm sorry for the drama on your timeline, but this is necessary. Please take the time to read. I was Vexed/I Bum Bum. Remember, Vexed is the friend of Trix. And Renzo continues, I used people, manipulated people, scammed a shit ton of artists with an art contest, and pretended to be a dead friend and refaked her death. This is my apology. So this part is also wild because everybody was speculating that Trix and Vex are the same person, which they confirm is true. But beyond that, it sounds like Trix isn't even a fake identity they made, but rather somebody they knew IRL that they then impersonated to then refake their death for social media clout. So they continue. When I started iBumBum, I was 16 lying about being 20 and thought it was whatever because it was online. I flirted with a lot of people I shouldn't have. I could have gotten so many people in huge trouble and I wish I could apologize to all of them, but the truth is, I can't. Oh boy. Even tell you how many of those people there were. I used my friends whenever I felt like I wanted something. I used some for money and some for art, and I still feel so horribly guilty. On another account, I scammed a bunch of artists for art with a fake art contest. I told myself at the time, oh, it'll be fine, I'll fake my death. I proceeded to use my friend's car crash photos to fake the death. And reading back on it now, it's just effing horrid. Who could effing do something like that? Oh boy. At least they're acknowledging the fact now that it was super effed up to do because that's disgusting. But what? Like, this is a level of behavior that you need to seek serious help to remedy because your poor friends lost their life and your thought is to use this tragic event to monetize and try to scam people. Beyond the art contest, by the way, they scammed a whole bunch of other people for free art. They would constantly be like harassing people for free art, like begging for free art or trying to belittle people to try to weasel some free stuff out of them. So that was another like slimy behavior they were up to. So they continue. I then disappeared, trying to run and hide, hoping I'd never have to deal with it again. I took time off, only a few months, and got a therapist. Within that time, I realized how absolutely astonishing these acts were. I treated my friends at the time so horribly. I would tell them to end themselves as a joke. I talked about them behind their backs. I was so crappy to the people I loved. I had a moment where I realized I needed to change, but that I had also missed streaming. So I decided to create another account called Chiovi and pretend like nothing happened, and wanted to try to focus on bettering myself while growing. So this was another point of controversy with the whole passing of Trix. When people were accusing them of faking the death, essentially, right? They were telling people to go end themselves, like in the same breath as like that conversation, which is wild. Because one, again, telling people that they should end themselves, joke or not, it's not a funny joke, okay? Jokes are only funny if both parties are laughing, and no one's gonna be laughing about a joke like that. One, okay? And I don't care if people are like, oh, you're too soft, whatever. Like, that is just mean to say, okay? Now they say, I stopped lying about my actual age, 17, and tried to make friends. But then I subtweeted about somebody lying about being homeless when I didn't actually understand what was happening. I didn't consider talking to them first. And so I ran again, not wanting to take accountability. And now I'm here with all the support and I really don't deserve it. I was horrible to so many people. I tried to become a better person to make up for it, and I'm still trying, but I've been running for so long and I need to effing stop. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to Mimi, Nova, Sinfellia, Rosalyn, Cream. I'm sorry to everyone I've hurt. I am so sorry. And I don't deserve any support for this or anything, but I want to take accountability for once and grow up as I need to. I encourage you to read what I've done before interacting with me or anything. I was so horrible. But I truly do believe I've changed for the better and I have learned so much. I am so sorry. All I ask is I'm not doxxed again. I'm sorry to have the nerve to request anything. And then Renzo adds, Mimi, if you could post a doc under here once you're done, I would really appreciate it. The doc is hefty. It's hefty. So this is the doc that Mimi posts. Hi, this is the long-awaited Google Doc finally in the flesh. Thank you, Sinfellia, Cali Lover 101, the Rosalyn, and Cream Puff for working with me on this doc about Renzoxian. I hope you actually learn and take a long time away from the internet. So this is the doc in question, and it reads, well, where do we start? It came to my attention that a new account by the name of Renzoxian is actually an old ex-friend of mine, also known by the community as Vexed or Trickstar. I have linked old docs of mine and others explaining who this person is all the way at the bottom and what they did to get canceled in the first place. This person has stepped away from the VTubing and art community on Twitter for several concerning behaviors, like attempted scams, disregard for others, and presenting themselves as a victim while avoiding accountability. They're now using a different persona, but I was made aware thanks to friends who noticed suspicious activity. I'll share the necessary evidence to inform and protect others, so that nobody experiences the same situation we did. And please be cautious, as this person has a history of asking people to buy adopts only to resell them against the rules. This is the account of the person in question. This is their new account, Renzo. Mimi has been blocked, which is also a bit suspicious because, like, why, right? So the doc continues. They used to have another account by the name of Captain Chio VT, which they renamed to Boss Level Chio, and it's now deleted. And they tried to get free art, despite artists not wanting to trade with them. And by the way, they have a history of tracing and not respecting artists. They talk bad about artists and they paint themselves as innocent. They also have another account by the name of Numi Chow, which will be relevant later. So in screenshot evidence sent by a couple friends, Renzo is seen texting their partner, who is a minor, asking for a photo of her hips. And it's weird because Vex used to say they were 20. They also commissioned art with them and their minor partner. So me and a bunch of friends dug deeper and were questioning how weird it was. That's when it turns out they were 17, lying about being 20. They showed their ID to Sinfellia in private after talking at the end. They also lied about their birthday 3 times. As recently they posted their birthday is next month. However, it was around 6 months ago. So these are the DMs. This is September 17th, 2025, where Redacted is posting the hips. Renzo says freak, referring to the hips, and they sent it in DMs. They also tried to find another way to pay artists instead of using PayPal, as their name has been shown in the past when using PayPal when they were named Vex. So obviously if they use PayPal, it will be revealed it's them. Another thing to add, they have a new account by the name of It's Joji BB, which they're trying to commission artists with while asking for help to pay their meds, with artists like Rosalyn. And it's now changed to Joji V Artist. So this is their post looking for artists. So here, this is September 15th, which is as of filming 9 days ago. They're DMing Rosalyn asking for 30 bucks. Could I ask for 30 USD back from what I gave you and I'll repay you the rest of the commission when I get paid? It's kind of urgent. And Rosalyn is so sweet. They're like, yes, like, do I do it through coffee? And then here Renzo says, I can't pay for my meds. And if I don't have my meds, I'll spiral. I just need $30. So another individual confirms the meds part, but says that they never heard anything about him being low on them. I get it. Sometimes you're in like a tricky financial situation that pops up, like something urgent happens out of the blue and you're like, shoot, I need money. Also, your artists are not like a personal bank that you pay money to for a commission that you can then like take the money back at any point when the artist is already like doing work on it. You know, this just gets into like a really tricky, messy situation because a lot of scammers do that. And you could argue, oh, maybe it's a one-time thing, but this person has a history of scamming. So a little hard to believe given the extensive history they have of scamming artists. So the doc continues, more evidence of Vexed and Renzo being the same person is their art style, rendering style, as well as when you watch their stream, they sound exactly the same. I can solidify this evidence as we used to be really close and call while sleeping. So I'm familiar with the similarities in voice he could have had with Vexed. So here are the rendering styles. This is Vexed's art and these two are Renzo's art. Similarities listed are the tendency to have bangs kind of covering one eye, the crop jacket. All these characters have crop jackets. Again, these two characters have a very similar like sheer pink meshing that's like torn on their body. The rendering style is relatively similar as well. This was Rosalyn's art style analysis, which yeah, I do agree too, right? The art style is pretty reminiscent. And again, we also do have Renzo literally confirming it, so that also adds it too. But this doc was like before that. It continues. Another really weird and funny thing is that their Renzo account, they posted about how they got rejected by artists for commissions because they're trans. But that's a complete lie. The reason why is because instead of paying, they asked to do art trades instead, or to not pay fully, as well as them already being problematic due to their past behavior. Nothing about being trans. And the comments is what makes me sad, as artists are taking time to draw them, and that is what they want all along, free art. So here are some artists who are making artwork for them, more artists. And again, please send love to these artists because this is behavior that this person has shown over and over and over again. It's not the artist's fault they fell for it, right? It's always like the kind-hearted people that are like, oh my gosh, wait, like, somebody rejected making art for you because you're trans? Like, don't worry, I support you. I'll make art for you. And it turns out this person has had behavior of scamming people in the past, pulling literally every trick out of the book to try to get free art from people. See, more art. Also, I don't want to hear any transphobia, okay? Regardless of like this person's behavior, transphobia is not okay either. So many artists. And then somebody called them out. I highly doubt it's because of your identity. You scam people, Chiyu, and you use them. You harass them for reasons you assume and don't get the full story. Get off the internet until you're mature. And then they clarified Renzo, because Chiyu is another alias they've had. I've never scammed anybody. I'm not sure where you're getting this misinformation. I made a post about Poshies, then apologized to her and deleted it. Thank you for the concern, and I actually find comfort in you wanting me to get better. But everything is all right now. Again, this is interesting because this post is only a little whiles ago. So the screenshot says 3 days ago. From my memory, this was like the 16th, I think. So I do think it's a bit interesting. They said that they've never scammed anybody, literally have. Many a times, including a massive like over $1,000 art contest scam. The doc continues. Now let's go back to the Numi Chow account. My friend Sinfellia informed me the Numi account was also run by Vexed. She found out that it was also Renzo's when she joined Renzo's stream in which she texted Numi. Every time she texted Numi on Twitter, they would stay quiet on stream to respond. My suspicion grew and I checked it and I wasn't blocked. I guess they forgot to block me on that account, so I decided to follow. So the moment I followed, I immediately got a DM from them. In fact, after getting the messages from Sinfellia telling her that she recognized their voice and us following their accounts, with Rosalyn, they stopped the stream and confessed everything to Sin, Rosalyn, and me. I'll provide the screenshots. So this is DMs between Numi and Sin, where Sin says, aren't you streaming right now? You know that I still remember your voice, right? And then Numi, in quotes, right, says, Sinfellia, you have no idea how honest I wanted to be with you. I just want to move on from everything. I'm doing so much better and I'm not lying about anything anymore. I'm being completely honest and open with everything. I just want to do it right this time and I'm so sorry. I should have just told you. That is on my new account. I'm sorry. I just wanted to move on and forget. And Sin says, so you're admitting you're Renzo? Why? Honestly, why? So these are Mimi's DMs. So Numi says, I want to start over and be some dude. I'm sorry I hurt you and those people. I'm doing so much better now. Please understand I haven't been lying anymore and I have no intention of any scams. I'm sorry truly. I went and got help. I have a therapist now and I'm a much better person. And Mimi says, not gonna lie, I feel like you're still lying about stuff. I know you're streaming right now. And then Renzo says, I'm not anymore. Can I clear everything up? I want to help. I still feel horrible about what I did, and nothing can change what I did. But I took steps to change myself. Mimi says, you're streaming as Renzo, and you lied to me about being 20 as well. Lied about being 17. So Renzo clarifies, I did lie about being 20. I'm 17 and being completely honest and truthful on this account. I'm sorry about everything that happened between us. I was a complete and utter dick. I thought I wasn't in the wrong. I was, and I'm so sorry you had to deal with that. I can send you my ID too. So you know, I am so sorry I flirted with you. That was seriously not okay, and I never meant to use you for anything. I am so sorry, Mimi. I was horrible. And in response to the lying about the age, Mimi says, do you know how dangerous that is? Renzo continues, I know now. I didn't at the time. I thought it was okay since it was all online. And it could have gotten you in so much trouble, and I'm so effing sorry. Mimi says, you lied about your birthday being 6 months ago when you're posting about it being next month. So Renzo clarifies they sent Sinfellia their ID, and their birthday is July 7th. They lied about their birthday because they wanted to keep some private things separate from their online personality so they don't get doxxed. They apologized and said they don't want to get doxxed again. And I want to reemphasize, like, lying about your age, lying that you are an adult when you are not, and then flirting with other people can get the other people in so much trouble, and they have absolutely no idea that this is happening. Like, the amount of damage you could do to somebody by lying about your age like this, it's so bad. And again, it just shows like a solid level of lack of critical thinking. This is how like kids think, right? It's like, oh, me, like what can I do because I think it's fun? What could I do that would get me the most amount of fun? Oh, well, I want to talk to adults so that I'm just going to lie about my age. You know, they have like the blinders on and they lose like the full range of thinking where you think one step further and it's like, oh, wait a sec. What would happen to the other person if I lied and said that I'm 20 when I'm 16 years old? Might get them in trouble, right? Anyways, Mimi feels that they're lying to get gifts for their birthday. And Renzo emphasizes, no, I'm not. I got doxxed last time because I thought my fake age would protect me, and I gave out too much personal info. Please understand, I'm so much better than the trash I was. If you would like me to make a post saying that was me and everything, I understand and I can. But I want to start over. And Mimi adds, if you were sorry, you wouldn't have blocked me. And that is really true, right? Because they made a new account, they pretended to be a completely different person and blocked Mimi so they wouldn't know. So that they could make a new account, start all over, and oh yeah, all these people that I scam, block them so they don't know I'm starting anew. Like, and Mimi's like, it's so that I wouldn't be able to know it's you, huh? And Renzo confirms, yeah, that is exactly what they were scared for, and that they didn't want it to happen, and they didn't want everyone to get hurt again. Which, on a complete side note, nobody would have gotten hurt if you didn't start any of this, because, like, all of this fuckery can be traced down to one person. And that's you. And Mimi says, you didn't even give a public sincere apology. You ran away and left and are trying to lie to new people. So Renzo adds, I was getting threats. I have not lied to anyone on this new account except for the birthday. I promise. If anyone asked, I would have been honest, but no one did. I am so sorry, Mimi. I effed up really bad, but I am so much better now. And Mimi asks if their current partner knows about them. And Renzo says that they didn't know. And Renzo adds, I don't tell anyone to end themselves or die anymore. I say I'm going to eat them or some stuff. I don't flirt with people over 18. I let everyone I follow and anyone who asks know I'm 17. I don't scam people anymore. I don't use people anymore. So Renzo continues saying that they were horrible, that they hate themselves every day. Mimi is not believing them, which is completely understandable due to the extensive history of scammery. And Mimi adds, next time, never blame anything on your mental. It doesn't work with me. The doc continues. So another thing to add is when Vex was known as Chio, they made a horrible accusation and attacked a VTuber who was suffering from homelessness and ended up harassing them. In that time, they were talking to a friend of mine called Cream Puff. Vex and Chio still fails to clear things out with them even after being confronted as of recently. With permission from Cream Puff, I was able to gather these screenshots in which Chio and Vex was talking crap behind Cream to someone else. As well as with Cream's permission, I'll be adding what happened between them. Ooh, they're going back and forth about it. Redacted says, I don't think they'll be comfortable with me telling you who they are. And Cream says, oh, you can ask. And they say, don't worry, Cream, I'm gonna tell them all good stuff about you. And they say, there's no bad stuff, really. Well, there's the outfit obsession. I feel like talking like that is just kind of like interesting. You know, I feel like no one's gonna question it until you bring it up. And now that you mention that you're gonna say good stuff about, then it's like, oh, okay, well, I didn't think you were gonna say bad stuff. But now you made me think you're gonna say bad stuff because now you said it. And they say, Cream, somebody's apparently going around telling people you make fun of your commissioners in private. And somebody says to be careful about you. And Cream says, I never make fun of my clients, but whomever's spreading that must really hate me. Okay, this is just so petty, man. Like this type of stuff, you know, where you're like talking behind somebody's back, it's so middle school, it's so high school. Well, actually, I guess they are high school age, so never mind. I was about to be like, well, we should have left that in high school, but I guess if they're 17, they're probably still in that mindset. So Chiovi sends an adopt, and Cream's like, girl, how much is the adopt? And Chiovi's like, 75. Worth it. Remember, Chiovi is also Renzo. And Cream is like, where did you get the money? Chiovi adds commissions and $20 from Decora. So here, Renzo is talking about a commission, talking about a client who doesn't have the funds and also doesn't want to work with a minor, which is understandable. If you are an adult, sometimes you don't want to work with minors because you don't want to get yourself in trouble. You know what I mean? And Renzo is like, I'm so effing upset. I get it. I really do. But why did she have to get my hopes up? I was so excited. It was going to be the highlight of my year. And Cream is consoling them. And Renzo adds, I was gonna be making money. I'm effing broke. My mom barely has money for groceries. This was gonna effing help. Mind you, there's a $75 adopt, like right here. This is another side tangent, but financial literacy is not taught in schools, and it most definitely should be. I don't recommend you hinge all of your hopes on somebody like commissioning you to pay for things in the future, like groceries. This is called living paycheck to paycheck, when your next paycheck has to pay for your current expenses. Now, I do obviously want to acknowledge there are people who live paycheck to paycheck for circumstances completely out of their control, like medical bills, etc. An unfortunate circumstance that happened in their life, like a natural disaster, whatever. But like at the end of the day, it boils down to financial literacy. And you know, you had 75 bucks. And if you really needed the groceries, you shouldn't have bought a $75 adoptable and then ended up in a position where your mom needed some money for groceries. But you have a $75 digital adoptable though, right? And don't get me wrong, please pay your artist. Art is worth it. Art is valuable. $75 for an adopt, totally fair. But art is a luxury. Please don't blow your money on art if you can't feed yourself. Because this happens so many times where you see clients or artists do this, where they're like, I really need the money, da 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 da. So like, can people commission me? Or like, hey, artist that I commissioned in the past, can I get my money back because I am broke now? Like, your lack of financial planning is going to hurt other people. It was $75 for this adoptable. She's so cute. She's super cute. But like literally in like a little further down in the conversation, they're upset a commission fell through because they desperately needed the money apparently. So here, the context says, this all happened after Chio/Vex, or Renzo, wanted to join a phone charm business by the name Decora Charms. Chio joined the server after being invited before they even became a volunteer, as they were once a partner. Cream Puff was discussing with a mod that Chio, aka Renzo, would not be a good fit due to Chio or Renzo acting unprofessional. Chio then got invited to the server because they were acting nice and tried helping Decora with her new project, which were photo cards. Chio asked Decora to buy them an adoptable, which is typical activity for Vex. Decora gave them $50, but Chio lied and said they received only $20. So days go by and Chio makes an announcement in the server promoting themselves, which isn't allowed. After that, a mod and my friend Cream Puff told Decora that Chio wasn't a good volunteer, and Decora says she messed up. Chio was also trying to make Decora pay for the streaming assets and printing stuff. Another thing to add, Decora told Chio she was going to pay them $200 to $250 for the photo cards Chio was going to make, but the quality wasn't that good for the business. And as I mentioned, Chio and Vex are a beginner artist. They use bases and they trace art. So Cream Puff confronted Decora and told her that Chio lied about the payment, saying it was $20 instead of $50. Decora snaps and says she gave Chio way more than $20. The adoptable was actually $70. Chio was then removed as a volunteer and confronted about lying. Decora then sent the Zelle payment as proof. However, that screenshot had Chio's IRL name, which was shared to the mod team, and they apologized. After Chio was kicked as a volunteer, they began calling Cream Puff a backstabbing bee. Chio then later sold their old Fox OC and kept the adopt, in which they used the excuse that it was because of Decora. Days go by and Chio decides to make false accusations and statements about my friend Cream and made sure to unfollow and block people close to Cream. Chio would also make uncomfortable remarks to Cream's friends and say they both live in the US so they could meet up IRL. They're also weird for calling a black NPC on Roblox weird. They would also make Cream Puff's clients uncomfortable, and whenever Chio is confronted, they have temper tantrums and start acting like a victim as well as speaking rude to people. So this is where we have Chio, aka Renzo, aka Vexed, being like, oh, here's the $75 adopt that I bought. And Cream's like, where'd you get the money? And they're like, commissions and $20 from Decora. So Decora allegedly paid them $50, or at least $50, but Chio here is lying. So here, Chio is crashing out about the cards with Decora, right? Chio adds, she was going to pay me for the cards. And Cream is clarifying, if she was going to pay you for the cards, wouldn't the money go to the cards? I think this is referring to like, you know, the supplies and stuff for the cards. And she was like, no, the money was going to go to me for making the cards. She was going to supply me the card materials. Cream's like, how would you make the card stickers and print without the money? And she was like, she was going to supply it. So then Cream's like, that doesn't make sense. What's the $200? She was like, for the work? And Cream's like, tell me what would happen if she pays you $200, since she's going to supply the materials. What are you going to give to Decora, since I wasn't updated? So then Chio's adding, I have to print the cards, cut them, sign them, write the message on the back, laminate them, and put the card holders and send it back. So they kind of go back and forth again about the cards because Cream feels like there's more, which is completely fair. So then Chio clarifies that Decora was going to supply the ink and card holders for the cards and shipping, and that Chio was going to do everything else. And then Cream is like, yo, you're lying. First, you told somebody my age without me knowing, and I forgave you. Oh, I think it's done as a power move, right? But in like the VTuber community, there's like bad actors who find out personal information about other anonymous creators and then like snitch to other people, being like, oh, I know so-and-so's age. I know so-and-so's real name. You want to see? That's weird. Don't do that. Okay. Obviously, they told you this information thinking it's going to stay with you. Don't give it to other people. That's like the equivalent of like receiving an NSFW photo from somebody and then going around to your friends being like, want to see this NSFW pic I got from somebody? Like they sent it to you because they think it was only going to you, not to you and all of your bros and everybody else you know. Like weird behavior. So Cream caught Chovy in the lie, being like, wait, what do you mean? Because you told me Decora gave you $20 when she actually gave you more, like 45. Chovy's denying it. And Cream's like, you only gave $30 for the adopt. She has a receipt. Don't lie to me. So this is more of the back and forth again. Oh yeah. Mimi has the TLDR right here. They had an account called Trix, which they faked their death to get free art. Spoke rudely about an artist working on an art contest, which the prize was $1,200. They won the contest. Vex spoke behind their back and called them greedy for wanting the money. By the way, the artist entered the contest to pay for their meds. And Vex knew this. Vex knew it was hard for them to make art and was still trying to rush them. They didn't pay the winning artist. Doesn't respect artists at all. Lied about having heart cancer. Wait, what? I didn't remember this one. Would lie about medical bills in order to get money and sell old OCs without art permission. Use me and others for money and buying them stuff in art. Told their friends to off themselves, including me. The me, by the way, is Mimi. Greedy as hell, doesn't think about people's emotions. Try to turn their friends against other people, especially if their friends are friends with others. They really try to turn them against each other. Lied about being a professional manager and would take paychecks from somebody regularly despite not doing managing. Would fish for pity points. Overall, a horrible friend to have. If you want to be taken advantage of all the time and insulted, please be my guest. But this scammer is the low scum of the earth and will never be forgiven. Here is Rosalyn's statement now after Renzo put out his statement. I found it weird because you said you went to therapy and changed, but just before we found out about this, you were behaving the same as before, and you weren't honest about this at all until you were confronted by us. Your new account was created in July, and right away you followed me. Of course we would know who you are. You talk the same, and your behavior was the same. It says, the Vex thing happened back in June. The 29th you said you would leave. Send us the message seen just down below and deactivated the accounts. But not only a month passed, and you are already back by the 20th of July, and even before that. So there was no time for you to change or reflect on your actions. It's impossible for you to change in that small of a time. Running away doesn't equal change. I also do have to add, look, this is not my place to forgive this person because I was not an affected party, right? It's up to the creators. But if you do say that you've stepped away for a time to like learn and change, the time away should be like relevant or proportional to the amount of fuckery you did. And given the absolute laundry list that this person has, 1 month is a very short amount of time to step away, to learn and grow, you know? So Rosalyn continues, and I know this because you never contacted any of the hurt people to let them know about what you're doing. You never paid any of the winners like you said you would. Never announced who won the other contest, even though I have an idea of who won because I was told. You told us you were leaving for a long time, and you lied about that too. By the way, again, let me remind you, Trix hosted an art contest for themselves, which was Renzo. And then Trix also hosted an art contest for their alleged friend Vex. They're all the same person. So Rosalyn continues, I suggest you take time for yourself. This time, do take time off the internet until you really mature and change, for your sake and for everyone else's. So this is a DM from Vexed, where they say, hey, I just want to apologize personally for everything. I cannot thank you enough for everything you did for me and all the fun we had. I made a huge mistake making that post about the art contest. I'm really sorry. I just want to feel like what it was to be loved in the community. Then after it ended, I got greedy. And then after that, I realized all the amazing people who joined wouldn't get anything out of it. I had a huge realization and wanted to get it out. Then I just got in too deep and I'm really sorry. I am. I'm taking a long break off the internet to better myself and fix my problems. I'm extremely sorry and hope you can believe that after everything I've done. And here is the admission. This is what makes it so effed up. And Trix was a real person. She did pass away, just not when I said, and she wasn't on the account ever. I'm sorry again. I got too caught up in greed and wanting success that I was blinded. I honestly feel horrible, and again, I am so incredibly sorry. I hope your art and commissions go well. I'm just glad one good thing came out of it, you know? The artist getting recognized. I'm sorry. Please note, I'm not excusing any action I did. What I did was horrible. This is the most deplorable part out of everything. And everything is already deplorable. But utilizing a real person you know and their tragedy for your personal gain. This is on the Vexed account, but they continue. I'm so sorry it took me so long to text you that I wanted to make sure no feelings were involved during my message so I could tell you everything straight up. I also want to give the current alien design I have away to somebody who would actually be able to use them as I'm taking a long break from any socials whatsoever. Are you okay with me giving away the art you made as well? With credit. So we have Sin's extra context, which is that this is a copy and paste message they sent every artist. So, I mean, at least they sent it to people. Ugh. But wow, the fact that they went and copy and pasted it to everyone, like instead of like writing a heartfelt message person to person. So here's the second account. So here we have some timelines. The first design Renzo had after deactivating his Vexed account. So we have this design. And so this was the Chiovi account, Captain Chio VT, and then a July 20th time lapse. It continues. There's a bunch of people hurt by your actions, Renzo and Vexed. I'm glad you say you'll take accountability, but mean it this time. It is impossible for most of us to believe you when this happened so little ago and you were not honest until we called you out on private. Also, there's nothing wrong with asking for help, it being money or whatever, but you should have said the truth to anyone you asked and used money from. Also, keep in mind this is a minor we're talking about. So after reading this, don't send hate. We all thought he was 20 since he lied, but the fact that so many people were hurt by him is crazy. Thank you for reading if you did. So now we have Sinfellia's part. The story begins for me in March when I did my internship for the second time in the local tattoo shop. I was very shy about continuing to build my drawing account and to post about it, but since I couldn't find work to help my family, who were in extreme financial need, that would be all I had left. The tattoo artist with whom I did my internship allowed me to have a little more confidence in myself and encouraged me to continue what I was doing. So I started looking for an art conquest that would hopefully allow me to earn some money at the same time. This is how I came across Trix's account, Trickstar, and I posted my entry April 4th with the help of the tattoo artist who gave me great advice on artistic choices. So Sin continues, well, I was seeing a lot of drawings and my chance of winning the raffle were getting smaller, so I decided to participate in the one from Vexed, a friend at the time of the first account. I also started participating in her streams when drawing because I found Vexed really nice. We decided to talk privately on Discord since Vexed offered me, after my first drawing, to do a complete illustration for her in exchange for doing a redesign of my first character. Some communications. This is May 11th, 2025. Sin continues, everything was going pretty well, despite the fact I had absolutely no money to be able to help my family as I hoped. I decided to promote myself however I could by responding to posts asking for help finding commissions. When I received a request for help regarding her logo, I thought I was helping a friend. So here Vexed, this is a day later, so May 12th, asking Sin if they know how to do logos. Sin says yes. Vex asks for help to do theirs. And then Vex sends their logo. Sin offers some fair criticism and sends a whole bunch of notes. And then Vex asks for their commissions. And Sin says $15. Vex says, just look at this, okay? Vex says, Sin says they'll send the Photoshop file too, which is like so fair for $15. But then Vex sends a screenshot of their PayPal balance with $0. And this is completely on brand for Vex because Vex does this. They will ask for commissions with no money. What do you mean you're asking how much Sin's logo commissions are when you have $0 in your PayPal? And this was a complete side thing because there was another creator that was involved where they would go to the other creator and try to get the other creator to pay for the art they wanted when they had $0 to pay for it themselves. And the other person was like being very, very kind and agreeing to do it. And Vex was just like using them as their own piggy bank essentially the whole time. That was talked about in this video. And Sin sends the head being like, that side was just about like Vex's scammery. Sin continues, she gave up doing it herself only to ask me to do it without paying me since she had nothing in her bank account. The pronouns are a bit complicated because at the time Vex was going by she, her pronouns, but they use he, him now, right? So Vex says, haha, I'm struggle. And Sin says, well, I'm broke too. I'm really sorry, but I need to make money these days to be able to eat. So the doc continues, I refused directly because I need to make money. I also can't do things for free or at least without any money in return. And my prices were super low, to be honest. Yeah, I want to add on a complete side note, like as an artist, you don't have to justify why you need to take money for your art. You are offering a service, of course you should receive money. And I'm not blaming Sin or anybody else for that matter. It's because Vexed makes the artist feels bad. Like the way they talk to the artist when the artist offers their prices, they're always like, oh, you know, like they make it seem like it's too much, and it's so icky to do that. So Sin writes, so she found someone else to do it. Understanding my situation, in quotes, she offered to help me set up a coffee where people could help me financially if they wanted, which I was happy. Because of this, I continue to think we're friends. And here, Vex says that they did an art trade to get their logo. She asked as well for an art trade to another artist since I refused to do it. She even made silly things for me without anything in return. So here are some silly little doodles. After spending so much time talking and even calling each other sometimes, I trusted her and complied with what she wanted. I started to become suspicious of her intentions when I constantly saw other drawings described as commissions being posted on her accounts, while she told me she didn't have the money to pay me. I didn't mind doing it for a friend, but knowing my situation and because it was my job, I would have liked to be paid as well. These suspicions were aggravated when Vex decided to change their design to a more complex one, with a full character sheet because she clearly couldn't have had it without paying for it. It's extremely high quality work. On top of that, her original art conquest was still in progress, which means she would be changing characters, while she still had her community draw to participate in her art contest. But once again, even though it hurt me to have already done 2 drawings for this character, only for her to finally change it, I convinced myself there was nothing. So Vex adds, maybe like a week later, this is now May 21st, 2025, Vex and Sin talking, and Vex is like, have you started the chainsaw piece yet? If not, can we change it? I have cool news. Sin says, I haven't started it. And Vex says, okay, so instead it'll be 2 people. Is that okay? Vex says, of course, maybe a half body if that's okay. Sin asks what characters, and Vex says mine and my new one, and they said the character sheet. And Sin says, that's when things got worse. When I couldn't be available all the time, this is how she reacted. Sin is asking if they're free, and when Vex says they're free till Tuesday, and Sin says, okay, I'll tell you when I'm free. It'll be around 11 a.m. or after for you. And then look what Vex says. Vex is like, loser, tell your stupid baguette man to burn. And Sin is kind of like joking around, and Vex is like, boo. And then Sin says, I won't be free before because I have a medical visit, not because of my boyfriend. And Vex is like, which like, this is just so weird to say in any way, shape, or form, no matter what relationship you have with this other person. Like, this is just weird to say. What, you're like upset that they have obligations? One, Sin is not obligated to tell you what they have to do. Medical visit, their boyfriend, whatever, it doesn't matter, right? You're just asking, hey, when are you free? Let's agree for a time so we can call. And you're just unhappy that it's not the time you want. And this is the thing. They talk like this to a whole bunch of people. The moment you don't do something they want you to do, like Vexed, aka Renzo, just gets like super passive aggressive. So here, Sin says, eventually she started redesigning my character in exchange based on what I told her. It was a good time, but after going back to it one night later, I wasn't happy with it anymore. So instead of asking her to redo it because I didn't think that was very nice, I decided to do it myself. And Sin says, you're gonna be mad, but I changed it. And Vex says, I'm going to effing end you. Telling people that is not nice. And again, this is Vex's MO. Sin is not the only person they've said that to. They've said that to a whole bunch of people. And Sin says, obviously it was a bad joke from her, but with my mindset at the time and with the confidence with which I was publishing my drawings, I just felt bad and honestly thought I should never use it. Also, I was afraid I had hurt her, and I hate doing that to my friends. So I said nothing again and decided to laugh at the situation, even though it was affecting me. So a few days later, Vex ended Trickstar. I was shocked, but at the same time, I didn't know her personally. I was just affected because Vex was mourning. So here Vex is saying, this was a day later, that their friend passed and they're having a rough time. So Sind is being very empathetic, apologizing. So Vex says that they're not okay and they want to draw to get their mind off of it. And then they're kind of talking about that. And then Sin is like, oh, do you need anything? And then Vex says, hey, sorry I'm about to crash out. Can I ask you to help me make a body base for her? I can't do the ribcage stuff. And I want to make a stupid effing outfit. Today sucks. 2 hours after they pretend to be grieving the fake death of their friend, they go and try to solicit more free art. And then Sin says, I'll try to. I'm currently with people, but I'm home. I'll do it. I think I'll do it in 2 hours. And then here's the art that Sin made. Wait, this base is so cute. And then Sin adds that they didn't make the thorax cage. They found it on the internet and showed it to her as an example. And they write, I didn't realize it right away, but Vex had sent me the notifications she received from Trix's account after her death. Sin continues, then very quickly, things slowly came to light about Vex and Trickstar. I decided at that point not to speak out because I was hurt, and several people were already talking about it. Also, I've always been in favor of forgiveness being an option, especially when we're young. So I gave Vex a second chance, the chance to stay in touch despite everything. So that's what we did after the copy and paste messages she sent to most of the people she hurt before. She then told me to follow her on a new account called Numichow a month after creating Chio. I had no idea that Chio and then Renzo were actually vexed. I had heard about the drama, but given the number of commissions I had, I didn't want to get interested in it, to stay focused on them. However, Renzo joined Eri Fushi's Discord server, who had been one of my clients, to whom I made a superb design. Upon joining the server, she caught the special attention of Rosalyn, with whom I get along extremely well. And after they got together, as well as suspicious actions by Renzo, Rosalyn and I decided to talk about it together to try to correlate information. We concluded they were the same people. However, one thing was wrong, his age. So we gave up and moved on. But 2 days ago, I joined Renzo's stream and discovered his voice. In truth, I wasn't really discovering it since I already knew. So I contacted Mimi and told her and Rosalyn in a private group everything we knew. I thought I was crazy, that I was imagining things. And then the more our investigation progressed, the more I understood that my doubts and fears were back. So I decided to wait until Renzo was streaming to set a trap for him. I would send him messages on Numi Chao's account, all while he was streaming at the same time. And of course, when he answered me, he no longer answered in stream while doing so. The clip is below. And so here's the conversation. And here you see this where Numi was like, I'm at work right now. Can we talk when I'm home? It'll be super late. And Sin writes, I think it's a shame that you didn't really take into account what we told you, especially that we had to force you to confess. I decided to forgive you, even though it hurt. Today, I don't want to hear about you anymore. I understand that you have regrets, but that won't erase what you did. From there to going out with one of my clients, to doing what you did to me and Rosalyn, all this knowing full well what you were doing. I'm just disappointed, and I feel stupid for being so lenient. I have a lot to learn from the situation, but don't worry, it won't happen again. And then we have the links for everything, and then I'll have this doc and everything linked down below as well. And it ends, thank you so much Cream Puff, Nova, Rosalyn, and Sinfellia for helping me put this Google Doc together. And the Google Doc again is from Meebe Gerbil. We have a couple follow-ups from Renzo themselves. So Renzo posted this a day later, writing, you all have every right to make videos and docs. I just want to say I'm truly sorry. I went back to my old friends because I just wanted to talk to them again and wanted to support them. And I'm sorry for that. It was wrong, it was deceitful, and it will not happen again. Once I repay the people I owe, I will be moving on from everything completely to just enjoy streaming and hanging out with my friends. And I'm so grateful for the people who have stuck by me, even when I don't deserve it. I can promise I will be continuing therapy and focusing on me and everyone I care about. I cannot apologize enough for what I did, but I'm taking steps to be better. I don't know how much of this you can believe after everything, but I'm staying Renzo and I'm getting help. And they add, I'll be taking some time off Twitter for real this time. I'm sorry, that's even a sentence I have to say. I'm gonna focus on my art and the giveaway winners, along with trying to make the money I owe back. The only reason I'll be on Twitter from here on out is to doom scroll on private. Let's take a peep at the quote retweets, because there's a lot. So we have Sinfellia saying, read it, Rosalyn saying, please read, and Ditsy writes, you broke mine and so many people's trust. Stay off the internet for as long as possible. No one else your age is faking deaths to scam artists. So we have another creator, Spocky Paw, writing, I don't get involved in any drama anymore unless I am somewhat involved. I actually had a terrible experience with them as Chiovi. I had no clue they were iBum or else I would have stayed away. I want to share that experience. They first contacted me to work on their VTuber model, but in less than 24 hours, I canceled working with them. Their friendliness wasn't very friendly. The humor was a bit too aggressive when I barely knew them, and it didn't come across as jokes, but I tried to stay friendly. They started saying we should get matching profile photos, saying I should be the one drawing them, and trying to trade designs to lower the model price, which was already only €50. It obviously rubbed me the wrong way when they tried to haggle the price with me. Prices were already very low. I quickly realized I had to cancel working with them, but wasn't sure how to go about it. I ended up sending a professional message saying they made me uncomfortable. They asked exactly what made me uncomfortable and I sent a list because I felt they deserved to know so it doesn't happen again. They reacted badly to this, becoming rather cold and passive aggressive with me. After that, we never interacted again, and after a while, they chose to block me on Twitter, and that was it. They just wished to be forgiven and have an online presence without worries of their past action. It's not up to me to do that, as they've only mildly wronged me. Again, I just want to share my experience. So here we have another creator, Vendoletta, who says, find a way to expedite my refund. Maleficum says, while I don't have direct terrible experiences, I still find it a shame the art trade was never finished and for the time spent on my side. While all the things in there are terrible, I truly hope you learn to grow as a person and to not repeat this. And then Cream says, thank you for taking accountability. Thank you for apologizing. That's all I wanted. I'm glad you're changing for the better. And for those people, please don't attack them anymore. Thank you. So here we have Sippy or Cphono4VT. Cool. Now give me back my money for a commission I never got. They owe a lot of people money. Like, I don't even know how to sum it up because the two art contests total 2,200. But yeah, the overall TLDR at the very end, this is the TLDR written by Mimi in the document. They faked the death on the alt account to get free art. And it was based off of a real person that they know IRL that actually legitimately passed away. And they used the actual crash photos from that to fake the death. 2, spoke rudely about an artist who was working on the art contest that they were using to scam. They called the artist greedy for wanting the money they actually rightfully won. To note also, the artist needed medication and the artist had a hard time working due to their illness. And they were trying to rush the artist to finish the piece, even though the artist was clearly expressing that they can't make it that fast. They haven't paid anybody. They don't respect artists at all. So apparently they lied about having heart cancer, stating that they needed to take medication for the heart cancer and that apparently the medication is for something else. They would lie about medical bills in order to get money and or sell OCs they didn't want without permission. They used Mimi and others for money and to buy them stuff. They told their friends to off themselves, including Mimi. They're greedy. They don't think about people's emotions. Try to turn friends against each other, especially if they're friends with other friends. Lied about being a professional manager and take paychecks without doing any work. Would play victim and fish for pity points. And they would also ask for commissions with $0 in their bank account, knowing damn well they can't afford anything. Oh, and they lied about being 20 when they definitely were not, to try to flirt with people over 18. At the end of the day, they're 17 that with time, with a lot of time and a lot of outside help, because with this level of behavior, this is not just you take time off the internet and you get better and you reflect. Like, this is a heavy and criminal level of behavior, because again, it is a crime to scam people out of this much money that normal people who are 16 years old, 17 years old don't engage in behavior like this. You need to seek professional help, and apparently they are, but a lot of it. And be away from the internet, honestly, for a really long time, because the internet is where you are perpetrating all of this behavior. Go touch some grass for a very long time. I hope they can get help and be better. And again, the forgiveness is up to the people that were affected to offer. Hopefully this is the end of the saga, because no amount of words can explain what this person did. Please be respectful, and once again, show love to all the affected parties. Anyways, if you like this video, I would appreciate it if you like and subscribe. If you want to check me out on Etsy with digital art for streamers and creators, if you're interested in a coffee with free resources like a free sponsorship guide. And I stream on Twitch 3 days a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, Saturdays at 6 p.m. PST. If you're catching this video, I will very likely be in Asia right now on vacation for 3 weeks, and I'll be back in the middle of October. So I'll hope to catch you guys on the stream when I'm back.